Hi guys, a little bit of a rant this time. I get a lot of comments and messages, of course, across my channels, particularly on YouTube, as you can imagine. And a lot of them are really supportive and very positive, but every now and then you get a little bit of negative ones as well. And that's fine, you know, I mean, especially if there is a debate or a discussion to be had, I'm always open to that. I'm always open to looking at if people are presenting evidence or a different point of view or information. I'll be like, okay, let's have a look at that and see if there's something that I can work with or use or talk about or debate or discuss. That's all very fine. Some of them are just outright, you know, rude and racist and Islamophobic and all the rest of it. Yeah, I just tend to ignore them. But every now and then I get a message, I'm like, okay, I think this one needs a little bit of a response. And I got this message, and this was actually a DM that came to me through Twitter. There's something about DMs. I don't know if people think like people can put messages in a public domain, even though they're not putting their real names and stuff like that, but they send you a DM and they expect you to read it. It's almost like, what are they thinking? What's the psychology of that? Is that more, do they think that's more of an intimidation tactic? Do they think that that's more of a direct approach, that you're going to be more attentive to it or more put off by it? I don't know. Anyway, in any case, it caught my attention, that's for sure. Anyway, let me put this up on the screen. So this is from somebody that goes by the handle There Will Be Snacks on Twitter, and when you go into it, the profile information, the only thing you can find out is that it says Mr. Keel Basa, Mr. Basa. So Mr. Basa says, "Hi Shazad, please don't be a shill for the automotive industry. They have plenty of bootlickers that are paid directly by them. You illustrate many valid transportation issues, but you offer the complete corollary to the actual solution. You have a platform to speak to people. Speak truth to them. Oh yeah, remove the Starfleet pin, please. Our favorite space communist, Captain Picard, would want nothing to do with you or your materialist concerns." And then this came, that was I think yesterday, and then this one was follow up today. He's been spending a lot of time looking at my content, so thank you for that, getting me more views. Always appreciate people looking at my content. And the final message was, "I've been watching you, Turbo. You're a complete fraud. Dial into what the major car companies are doing and decide if you want to ever have an objective opinion in your life." Whoa, okay. Let me respond to some of this. First of all, please don't be a shill for the automotive industry. What does shill mean? A shill is a person who possesses a customer, who poses as a customer in order to decoy others into participating at a gambling house or auction or confidence game, etc. Nice. A person who publicizes or praises something or someone for reasons of self-interest, personal profit, or friendship or loyalty. I gotta say, the loyalty aspect of it, I could maybe concede a little bit, but the first part of being a decoy, no chance. I mean, decoy for what? What am I doing here? Secondly, for personal profit, I mean, are you kidding me? I mean, I wish I was being paid by the car industry. I'm not being paid by the car industry. I'm not being paid by anybody, let's be absolutely honest. And those people that think, oh well, then YouTubers, they make lots of money because they do YouTube stuff. Well, you know, if you are thinking that you can make money as a YouTuber, then I'll tell you the bare facts. The bare facts of it is, you probably need to be making 3 or 4 videos a week that are clocking well over 100,000 views for you to be anywhere near sort of kind of maybe earning a possible living for yourself, right? At my level, this doesn't even pay for the content that I'm producing, so that's nonsense. To work as a shill, he shills for a large casino. The verb is to advertise or promote a product in a manner of a huckster or hustle. Okay, I'm not promoting anything. The only thing I'm promoting here, if you like, is my brand, which is Brown Car Guy. And of course, I think I'm allowed to do that. He says, they have plenty of bootlickers that are paid directly by them. I am not. You illustrate many valid transportation issues. Thank you. But you offer the complete corollary to the actual solution. I don't think so. I think that I always look at every issue objectively. You have a platform to speak to people. Speak truth to them. I always speak the truth to them as I know it, and which is my truth. And I will concede that I am definitely pro-car. I am pro-motorist, and the motorist, whether that motorist is a petrol head or just somebody that needs to have a car, that whole spectrum of people that use cars, I am pro them. Of course I am. I am a car guy. I am the brown car guy. That's obviously what I'm about. So of course I'm going to be pro-motorist and pro-car. It's part of what I do. But the other thing is that when people do this, when they send you a message, there's no context. I don't know who Mr. Basa is. What are his credentials? Why does he have the authority or the credibility to hurl these accusations at me? If you want to see who I am, it's plain to see. You go browncarguy.com, you can see everything you want to know about me is right there. I'm hiding in plain sight, if you like. I'm right here, and it's very clear who I am, why I have the authority to speak as I do. Well over 3 decades as an automotive journalist and content creator on all platforms, from print to television to radio to digital media across the UK and the Middle East. Okay, working at some of the biggest publishing houses. I worked at what was before EMAP and now Bauer in the UK. I worked at ITP in Dubai, which is the biggest publishing house in the UAE. I think that I bring a fair amount of knowledge, credibility, expertise, and indeed journalistic impartiality to whatever I do, and if you think otherwise, you're welcome to say in the comments and we can discuss, or we can make another video. It's not a problem, but I think it's unfair to accuse me of these things, and it's certainly unfair to accuse me of not speaking the truth. I have no reason to speak anything other. I am only trying to help people. That's what I'm trying to do, right? And again, as you've established, I'm not being paid by anybody. There's no money in this for me, right? If anything, I pay out of my pocket to go and do this stuff, to cover protests, to go talk to people, to cover events that I think, or cover things that are happening in the automotive world that I think might be of interest or importance to the car community, the motorists, and even the car industry themselves. And I do this because I have a passion. There's no question. There's no question that I'm passionate and interested, and I have a vested interest in the automotive world. Of course I do. It's what I'm about. It's always been what I'm about, and there's no hiding that. But at the same time, I try to bring a journalistic and objective approach to everything, and I'm looking at things like that. So even like when you look at stuff like ULEZ, and I say, well, I never actually objected to ULEZ in central London. But when I look at the stats and the statistics and the facts and the reports about expanding it further, I think there's a valid case for it in order to protect the interests of the motorists. That's what I'm trying to do. This thing, let me jump ahead. Let me jump over the next paragraph. Let me go to the final one. I've been watching you, Turbo. First of all, why Turbo? Where the hell did that come from? I actually prefer V8s myself, or straight sixes, as I currently have. You're a complete fraud. Well, I mean, that hurts. Fraud. I mean, definition of fraud. Fraud, deceit, trickery, sharp practice, or breach of confidence perpetrated for profit to gain some unfair or dishonest advantage. A particular instance of such deceit or trickery, any deception or trickery or humbug, a person who makes deceitful pretenses, sham or poser. I've been accused of being a poser. I might take that one on the chin, but certainly not deceitful or anything like that. I'm not trying to sell anybody anything. I'm just trying to discuss what's going on in the world of automotive, and purely automotive, I might add. I have no political affiliations or anything like that either. So yeah, I do take offense to that. Dial into what the major car companies are doing. Yeah, I think I've pretty much got my finger on the pulse as compared to what is happening in the motor industry, and decide if you want to ever have an objective opinion in your life. My goodness, I mean, what the hell, man? Seriously. So that is all nonsense, and you're welcome to have your opinion and stuff like that, but I can guarantee you that I'm doing this purely because I believe that, I have a duty as an automotive journalist, as a content creator. I have a duty to discuss what's happening in the car world and to discuss how that affects motorists and the car community and indeed the car industry, and to discuss that, to bring the facts and figures, the data, and also my qualified opinion, I think, on the situation as it is. Finally, this also really annoys me. Remove the Starfleet pin. Our favorite space communist Captain Picard would want nothing to do with your materialistic concerns. I'm sorry, I am a lifelong Trekker, as you can see. I often wear Star Trek badges. I have an Enterprise up there, and if you talk to me about Star Trek, you have either not watched it or you don't really understand it. Star Trek is always about finding solutions, finding compromise, discussion, talking to each other, looking at the big picture, seeing what how things have an impact on everybody, whether it's in their case, whether it's a different planet or a different species or whatever, and then trying to find common ground and trying to find a solution that actually benefits everybody. And I think that there's nothing wrong with that, and that's what I've been discussing when it comes to recent issues regarding cars as well. And the other aspect of Star Trek, of course, is very science-based, and the idea with Star Trek is always like, let's find a scientific solution, let's push the boundaries of innovation and technology and what we know to see if we can come up with a scientific solution to the problem at hand, whatever that might be. And this also works in reality. I mean, let's go back to COVID. I mean, COVID, when that happened, if you remember at the beginning of that, the experts, the professors, the doctors, the scientists absolutely categorically told us there's no chance of a vaccine, at least for several years. They say it's never been done, it can't be done, you can't have a vaccine that fast, there is just no way. Of course, needs must. What happened? Within less than a year, we got an effective vaccine. So it's a very tricky thing to do, in fact. Bring it back to the automotive industry. When you push science, when you push researchers, when you push technology people, when you push inventors to the limit, you come up with incredible solutions. Henry Ford is very famous for having told his engineers, I want a V8 in one block. I want it to be built in one block. The engineers were like, no sir, it can't be done. It's impossible. It's just not going to happen. And he turned around and he said, do it anyway. Do it anyway. And they did. And that, of course, became the famous Ford V8. So, the reality is that is completely wrong. And also the other thing is, both Captain Picard and Sir Patrick Stewart are car guys. Bona fide car guys. Absolutely car guys. And in fact, go back to Captain Kirk, also a car guy, and William Shatner, also a car guy. In fact, William Shatner is just everything speed. He's well into his horses. People that know him will know he's well into his horses, but he's also big into his motorbikes. I think he even created a bespoke bike as well. And of course, he's into his cars as well. So it's interesting because there's a bit of an Easter egg in the reboot movie, the Kelvin Timeline movie, Star Trek movie, where in the beginning they show a young Kirk in a classic Corvette, which eventually launches off a cliff, right? And it's interesting they chose that car because that's the car that William Shatner had when he got the role of Captain Kirk. So there you go, brings it full circle. Anyway, rant over, live long and prosper. Love to hear your comments.
Brown car guy.
Hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, please hit the like button and share this video as well if you can. And while you're at it, check out these guys who also sponsor my content. I am deeply grateful to them because it helps me to buy new equipment, put fuel in the cars, and yes, buy a cup of coffee. You can do the same. Just go here or right here on YouTube. Just hit these three little dots down here and click on thanks. Make sure you're signed in first. My content is free, but this is how you can help me keep it that way. I may even send you a gift. Oh, by the way, watch this next.